Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are starting this
We're
for the
back.
third time's a charm. Uh, I remember 5 years ago, we literally made the joke of imagine starting this back up again and we do two episodes and then stop.
Two
And we did.
podcasts, two eps each. So see how far we get here.
We did season two, we did two episodes and then we fucking disappeared for another 5 years.
Well, we had three episodes, but I was connected to the wrong mic. Remember?
Oh, that's right. We recorded for a good 45 minutes and then the whole time you selected your input as your output and then there was no sound. I was talking to myself for 45 minutes.
So that was the end.
So that was the end. Well, hopefully this is working. We're trying something new where we can actually see each other's faces as well, compared to
First time,
just
two different states.
different states, different jobs. Wasn't
That's
I
it.
still landscaping last time, and you were
Yeah, and I was still bloody working in
you're
the
in the
mines.
mines? Yeah,
And,
that's right. That's why it stopped because of COVID. You had to go work away as well.
and then we couldn't match up our lives. But I think
Nah,
this
at all.
this would be a lot better because we don't have to sit with each other now, and hopefully we can broaden
Exactly.
out and it'll be easier.
Try and find a set time. Hopefully once or twice a week. Hopefully.
I
And then
reckon we're
we'll get the
back,
sponsors
baby.
on. We'll get the
We're
sponsors on
back.
board.
This
We'll go
white
full
wall
time.
behind me will have sponsors each week.
Literally, I'll have LED lights back
The
here. I've
room
got
will
Dyson
expand.
early and the
I've got
golf bags.
Kmart cupboards.
Yeah,
That's it.
literally
We'll see if we
started
can
early.
expand on that.
Just this one. But no, what we're gonna do? It's still gonna be off on a tangent, but it's gonna be a bit more structured. We're gonna talk about our three favorite sports. We're gonna talk about NBA, which we both know the most about. Actually, I'll take a step back. NBA, I feel I know a little bit more in depth. You follow
Yeah,
your Knicks, but I know a bit more in depth around the league.
definitely.
NRL, you're the man. I just follow my team.
Definitely.
AFL, we both know, and then we can
Both
both have an
sides for
input.
sure.
So I feel like if we go NBA,
Yeah,
I know,
definitely.
NRL, you know, and then AFL will top it off and we both know. And then people listening along, then at least you know you can skip a section if you don't like it, or if you like a particular sport, you can go back and rewatch all that.
Or just like the episode and skip the whole thing. Doesn't bother me.
Yep, yep.
Get our
Just
ratings up. We both
share it
hate
around.
we hate our
Hopefully,
jobs. We need to get out, so please follow.
true that. And speaking of which, we hopefully should be YouTube and Spotify. I've got to find out how we upload to everywhere else. Like we should try and get Apple Podcasts and that going as well. But we'll just see how we go. So
Baby steps, baby steps.
let's start it off. NBA, no better time. Playoffs have just started. Tell us who's your team. I'll say my team, and then we'll get into the matchups and go from there. So you're a
Well,
Knicks man, aren't you?
I am a Knicks man. I love my Knicks. So we got the Pistons, and to be honest, I'm actually very nervous supporting them at the moment because, well, that first three quarters of basketball, Detroit played bloody amazing. Hard, tough defense. It was pretty much in your face the whole time. The only way Knicks were really scoring was the fast break. It was actually tough.
And yeah, so first and foremost, game one at Madison Square Garden, Knicks 123, Detroit 112. Cade Cunningham, who was harassed by OG Anunoby all night, 21 points, 12 assists. Jalen Brunson, dodgy right ankle, that was the same one he was injured on, 34 points, 8 assists. Um, yeah, I pretty much watched that from start to finish. Those first three quarters, they were. I actually thought it was the Knicks to lose. They were on top. They were dominant. Um, they had their shooters shooting well. Like I think Malik Beasley was 6 of 12, but that was I think 5 of 8 at one point. Tobias Harris had a really good first half as well. Tim Hardaway Jr. He was shooting well. So I thought it
Even
was theirs to lose. But yeah, tell us about that last quarter. Bit of a Knicks domination.
I reckon, yeah, obviously they got 40 points in that last quarter, which obviously won us the game. Just, I think what honestly is going to be our problem is when we play in Detroit. I think when you play at Madison Square Garden, it's a completely different round. Home court advantage, yeah, each team, but you're playing in the Mecca. It's a big can of worms. I reckon
And they
yeah,
haven't had Detroit have had no success for a long period of time. Could you imagine? I mean,
no.
either of New York, but could you imagine how loud that will be?
Pretty sure 2008 was the last time Detroit won a playoff game.
Yeah,
So going back there, it's going to be massive. I reckon it'll go 2-2, both going playing at home, and then you'll see who can play better in the opposition's home court. I reckon this goes 7 games easily.
yeah. Thought you could just see they have a few more mature heads in the room with New York. They just flicked the switch in that last quarter. Some ridiculous like 21-0 run in that last quarter, which basically capped off that 40-point last quarter to overtake them and win.
I
Is
think
there
having,
anything that you would like to see in game two to sort of rest? Like, I mean,
I
based on that
reckon
last quarter of momentum,
the last
that
quarter. So apart from the last quarter, I'll talk about the first three. I reckon our fast breaks were a bit too hectic. It seemed we were just going way too quick, and we were just throwing up absolutely brick after brick. In my opinion, I'm no friggin' Stephen A, but it was annoying me how we'd just get the fast break and just keep messing up over and over again.
yeah, I noticed that a little bit early that like guys like Josh Hart and I mean Josh Hart got into foul trouble. Mikal Bridges kept pulling up from mid range early that they weren't really connecting early, but um, yeah, I mean naturally I feel like a week off as well. It's going to be a bit rush, bit haphazard, adrenaline rush. They'll calm down game two hopefully, and I would not be surprised if there's a bit more of a just sit and steer job by the Knicks. But I think you're right. I think going into game three back into Detroit, they'll take Detroit's best punch at that stage, and I'm still expecting that to go to a long series.
I personally think the way we win this series is just post game.
Yep,
Through our
yep.
bigs, OG, Towns, Robinson, did to be play through
Robinson was
the,
huge.
especially OG. He got 23, 7, and I didn't get no assists, but that beginning he started off on fire.
Yeah,
And even though he technically hasn't won a chip with Toronto, he still knows how to get there.
yeah.
So
Play
I
playoff
think,
basketball.
pretty sure, obviously, Brunson scored 34, but we've still got Ananobi, Towns, Payne, Hart, players still dropping numbers, and Bridges only scored 8 points, but that's still going to work later on in the stretch because, in my opinion, game one means fuck all.
Yeah,
Game one's pretty much just a feel. Everyone's nervous. It's finally sold out the whole stadiums. Game one's just pretty much whoever wins this, no one really cares. It's just let's play the ball. You lose, all right. Now we know what we're up against. Let's come in game two. That's the difference in I think NBA basketball. You go to pretty much any other sport. You get the finals, you lose, you're gone.
yep.
You can actually get a feel of everything. You get those, well, pretty much 4 chances to have a win. So I think our Knicks will hopefully, but I think this goes game 7.
Yeah. I think this will be close. If only reason it would end up being sort of 6 games or anything like that, I reckon, is if a team can steal, like if a Knicks can steal one of those games in Detroit, or even if Detroit, sorry, steal game two, like that's all of a sudden when you
Yeah,
know that it's going to stretch to 6 or 7.
but with the
Um,
Knicks, oh, quickly, just with the
yeah,
Knicks, because we rely on Brunson so much, if we do lose him, that's going to shoot us in the foot. Yes, we got Towns, but yeah, it's a lot different game in New York than it is Minnesota. So
yeah, yeah.
we'll see what
Well,
happens.
like your centers, even OG, like your forwards as well. They need to get started by your point guard and like so if Brunson goes down, who's going to initiate the offense? Like Cameron Payne was pretty handy with his 14 points in 15 minutes, but at the end of the day, Cameron Payne and Miles McBride are not going to carry you to an Eastern Conference Finals. So
No,
they need to try and keep Brunson out on the floor, strap it up, inject his ankle, get him right
yeah,
for game two and for
definitely.
the rest of the series. Um, my game two prediction there. I do feel like it's going to be a bit more of a sit and steer for New York. They'll figure out and make some adjustments. But in saying that, like Thompson and Duran were all in foul trouble as well early, so hopefully they can keep those two on the floor, and then we can sort of see a better punch from Detroit.
Well, I reckon
Um,
next game, game two, I reckon whoever wins will be 5 points or under. That's what I'm
yeah,
thinking.
yeah, okay. So you're expecting a bit more of a closer one.
Yeah. What about
Uh,
yourself? You're the Lakers man.
yep, yep. I'm sort of following two sides. I mean, this sort of probably sounds a bit stupid, but would love to see LeBron win a fifth ring. But I have been an OKC man forever and a day. So that'll be interesting if they face off in a Western Conference Finals. But I mean, the Lakers need to actually win a playoff game first. We'll go through.
Definitely.
We'll go through that game. So that ended up Minnesota 117, Lakers 95. Now you were driving back from the grandparents' place. So did you catch any of this at all?
Just a couple of highlights, nothing crazy, but looking at the stats, obviously James and Reeves need to be scoring 20 points or more, not 19 and 16. That's that's not going to cut it in the playoffs, definitely. Luca played like Luca, 37, 8 and 1, but I think LeBron just had a cold one.
Do you know what's weird? Like usually you look at a basketball game. It's the same with AFL. You can look at a basketball game and go, "Don't look at the box score. It won't tell you the story." You could
Yeah,
actually have not watched this game, and if you look at the box score, I reckon you could tell everyone exactly how it went. Jada McDaniels in the month of April was 2 of 19 from the 3 point land. He
yeah.
shot 3 of 3 tonight. He shot 85% from the field. Julius Randle 4 of 6. Mike Conley 2 of 3. Naz Reid 6 of 9. I highly doubt they shoot like that again. But in saying that, the Lakers' game plan allowed them to have over and over and over again wide open corner threes, and Minnesota just hit them like
It's just
51% from the
that
field, 50%
adjustment.
from three.
All right, yeah. Sorry, it's just that adjustment. You see this all the time. Like
Yeah,
keep count the years where like you've seen the 8 seed win the first game against the number 1 seed, and then they end
yeah.
up getting absolutely slapped. It's just a feel for the environment. But I do believe I don't think Minnesota's going to win, but friggin' Edwards is the man. He'll carry friggin' plumbers and electricians on his basketball team to win. He's just not saying he's Michael Jordan. He's got that mentality. He doesn't care who's on his team. He can pretty much like LeBron. Doesn't matter who they are. He can rally behind them, make sure they're in the right spot, hit their shots. He's that type of guy.
And what's funny is if you actually again looked at the box score and saw 8 of 22, which was what Anthony Edwards got held to, you'd go, Lakers did a pretty good job, but
Yeah,
he missed heaps around the basket and heaps from the mid range. He was still shot pretty well from three. Yeah, I think this is just. I'm hoping it's just a classic LeBron game one feel out. I mean, they lost to every single game one in the 2020 playoffs, and then came back and won in five in a lot of those series as well. So they're Dorian Finney-Smith didn't play well. Gabe didn't play well. Um, don't know why Jordan Goodwin saw the floor early in the second. That allowed them to go on their run. But yeah, I think if I'm going to see game two adjustment, Jackson Hayes needs to play more. They need that lob threat for Luca. And they need some play finishing. Like the Lakers only had 15 assists, which is diabolical. So better play finishing, run some more sets, Jackson Hayes on the floor, and I think they'll come back. I still think Lakers in sort of 5 or 6 in this
Lakers in
series.
five. Like
Lakers in
I,
five.
I think the good thing is Luca's playing like Luca.
Yeah, exactly,
He's
exactly. And now he only had 1 assist, but at the end of the day, like I mean, there would be an interesting stat to see how many times he passed the ball to someone and they missed. So it's not like he was ball hogging it
and
either.
also being a star. Him running to the basket or away is going to draw plays.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
it's not a stat, but his presence is drawing plays, which is getting open shots.
And it's the same thing as Edwards. Like, yeah, drives the lane and yeah, he missed a couple, but still he draws 2 or 3 and kicks it out and they just shoot wide open threes. So
Absolutely.
now two neutral games. LA Clippers and Denver. Now,
I went
I think I
overtime,
sent
didn't
you
it?
yeah, yeah. I think I sent you a message earlier in the week saying I expect this to go to seven. And game one didn't disappoint. How do you see this series playing out?
I reckon it's going to go the distance to 7 because you got Kawhi and James playing the way they should be. Kawhi, fingers crossed. I reckon if Kawhi actually stays healthy, Clippers can beat the Nuggets. Because as
Yep.
much as I love Westbrook, he can be an anchor sometimes if he just. He's another bloke that does that fast break and it's just either the quick pass or the quick shot. Not saying he's washed, but he isn't what he used to be. And I kind
Mm.
of see there's been actually a couple of times this season where he's been with the ball late and he's the one that's coughed up the pills. And
Do you know what's weird about Westbrook? Is I woke up just in time to watch that whole last quarter. So being in Australia, I think it was a 7 a.m. wake up. Russell Westbrook lost the game, won the game, lost the game again, won the game, all in the space of about 2 minutes. Like you got the full Russell Westbrook experience. It was the strangest game I've ever seen someone
he's
play. Like,
probably the only sports athlete, in my opinion, that obviously when you lose a team sport, you didn't lose it personally. It's the team. I think it's him. When,
yeah,
whenever you either win or lose, I reckon it's on him. He's for some reason the dude that he's fucked up multiple times, and this is post prime Westbrook. I'm
yeah,
saying not in his obviously prime, but I feel like there's a lot of times down the stretch he does a quick three or an easy layup and he just misses. I've got
yeah, like
nothing against
transition
him.
threes and all that. Like, which is so bizarre because in the end, I think there was 29 seconds to go or something, and he hits a corner three, which actually put them up. And it's like to have that much confidence and faith in your ability that if you miss that, you will get literally obliterated online. And he just goes, whatever, I'm going to
Yeah,
pull this shot and drains it. I mean, only thing that I noticed in this game that the Clippers will need to find sort of some way to adjust this. Kawhi Leonard had 7 turnovers, and what they did a lot of the time, Denver, is they blitzed him, and then Kawhi's playmaking struggled. Like he had the ball in his hands, but 2 assists and 7 turnovers is not great. Even out of the double, he didn't pick the right options. They didn't sort of capitalize on that. So they're going to have to figure something out there, especially when James Harden had the type of game that he did.
yeah.
Zubac did what he did. Because the only thing for the Nuggets to sort of they still won the game. Jamal Murray didn't play well. Westbrook, who we were just talking about, didn't really shoot the ball well at all. Michael Porter
Bogdanovich
Jr.
done everything but score.
Yeah, which was weird. He rebounded, he assisted, turned the ball over heaps, fouls, just did not. It was a weird game. So, um,
It will be an interesting series, but a bit off topic. Did you see that clip of Jeff Van Gundy and Jokic wrestling for the ball?
what was that?
Oh,
What was that like? And just how big is Jeff Van Gundy? He'd be what 5'8", 80 kilos, mostly flab.
oh, definitely.
Jokic is 120 kilos, and he was struggling to get this ball off that man. I
It
could
was
not believe
almost
what I was watching.
awkward. Just it's like in AFL, you've been holding the ball and the bloke's trying to rip the ball off you, and you're just holding it. It just seemed awkward. It just let go of the bloody ball for
I
God's
don't get
sake.
it.
It's
Actually, in the Knicks game as well, they had that moment. I think Cade dived on the ball, and Carl Anthony Towns came over the top. Jump ball gets called, and Cade just held on to it, and then Towns tried to rip it out. Nothing happened, and then Towns comes out and he's like clapping his hands and trying to G up the crowd. It's like, just let the fucking ball go and just do a. I don't get it.
it's
It's
almost
a
an
bit
all
weird.
sport. It's all sport problem, I reckon. You see it in all sports. Rugby league, the penalty happens. They're trying to rip the ball off.
I ain't
It's
letting this thing go.
yeah, a bit
It's
chaotic.
well, it's like the UFC and boxing standoffs.
Pretty much.
First one to leave, gonna lose.
Yeah, touch gloves if you want to, and they just walk away.
Now we'll
But
glaze over this pretty quickly because it was a bit of a schmozzle in the end. We're needing sort of Giannis to put on the 2018 LeBron cape with this team, I think. But Bucks, Indiana, absolute whitewash. Um, Giannis 36, 12, and 9, but sorry, 36 and 12. Um, Pascal Siakam was good. Benedict Mathurin was good. TJ McConnell was good. There's just a lot more depth on this Pacers team than the Bucks. And if Damian Lillard doesn't come back, I do not see a
Well,
way
he's got
that Indiana do
game
not
two or
lose this,
three.
win the
He's
series.
supposed to come back.
Okay, so game two or three.
I've seen, yeah, game two or three. He's supposed to come back, but he is needed because you got Giannis doing 36 points, and then you got Green on 15. There needs to be that
Yeah.
middleman between that's dropping 24 or something, and that's Lillard or someone needs to step up.
Well, we got the Tony Snell special from Kyle Kuzma. I don't know if that happens again in game two, but zeros, donuts, diddly squat across his whole box score. He's played winning basketball before for the Lakers. I feel like he finds a way to improve and become an impact in game two, but
Yeah.
strange stat line for him.
Well, even though I reckon there's a player that the Bucks are missing, and it's DiVincenzo.
Mm.
They need someone like, oh, the Knicks had him. He's perfect. You just need that bloke that can actually shoot the three consistently.
This might sound stupid, but DiVincenzo started on the Bucks, didn't he? And then went to the Knicks.
Yeah, he went Bucks, Knicks, and now he's at
Yeah,
Minnesota.
it's just guys that create winning basketball. He's Alex Caruso type mold. Like you just
Definitely.
need those dudes to make those plays. Um, yeah, I was thinking that this would be the Pacers pretty easily, but if Damian Lillard comes back, I mean he's been out for a while. I don't know if he'll find his shot, but yeah, I think Pacers in 5 or 6 at this rate.
I
Um,
reckon, yeah, I see Pacers getting up. I reckon
yeah,
Giannis is going to just. It's not Giannis. I reckon he's just going to put too much into it, get frustrated. I reckon, put your money on. There'll be a game where he gets teched up from getting
yeah.
frustrated because he's got no backup, no Robin to his Batman, and Pacers, I reckon, go 4-2.
Well, I saw some pretty interesting stat that Indiana was putting Brook Lopez in the pick and roll and scoring at 1.5 points per possession, which is well over average. And every time someone else was involved in the pick and roll, Indiana shot the ball at 40% instead of 80%.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
they're going to try and have to find a lineup where it can be like, say, Porter Jr., Portis, Kuzma, Giannis, Prince, and they just switch everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise they're just going to keep putting Brook Lopez in a spin cycle, and that'll become a pretty quick
Yeah.
series. All right, let's move to the sport that you know more about, the NRL. Talk to me. What now? You're a
I'm a Bulldogs
doggies
man,
man
sitting comfortable on top.
and looking good too.
First time we've gone 6-0, I think they said since 1938 or something.
Holy shit!
So this is our best season of anyone alive has pretty much ever witnessed. Um, but, oh, it was just domination. The way we're running through the middle is absolutely insane. People keep saying, why are we so good? And I'm just saying, I keep telling people, because we got three Panthers, pretty much.
Yeah,
We got Kickow, Crichton. Shit, I've just forgot the other one. Kickow, Crichton. Oh, and Burton. And obviously, it's just not them because they're Panthers, but the way I always see a team is when you get a player on your team that's actually won a comp, that's going to help.
well they'll just drive standards. So
Absolutely.
if you can have three of them pushing the same sort of message, I mean it can fall on deaf ears if the one bloke's saying the same thing. But if you've got two or three guys backing him up,
Plus, you got,
it's going to lift
yeah,
all the rest.
pretty much Gus Gould. I'm pretty sure he set up the whole Panthers situation. Now he's come to the Dogs. He's doing the same thing.
Yep.
But we're playing elite footy. We've got Cherry. That's absolutely since he's come back from his suspension. It's been insane. That Curran lad with the headgear, he's playing six. Uh, young Reed Mahoney, he's good. People, yeah, he's not a championship player, but he played in the grand final, so he knows the mentality to get there. It's like the way I'm watching it, it's almost like the Dogs of War when I used to watch them as a kid, pretty much running through the guts hard, and then once they're getting this hit, they're offloading it. So then they're opening up the space, and then they're getting those quick short runs to the middle, and it's just perfect. Shit, we kept South Sydney scoreless, 32-0, like
Yeah,
that
shut
on
them
it
out.
Easter Sunday, which is pretty much like imagine the AFL Crows and Port showdown. Doesn't matter where they sit on the ladder, they'll always be close. And this was one of those games, and the doggies just honestly don't see us losing
The
anytime
Rabbitohs weren't
soon.
even doing bad. They were 4-2. So
Nah,
that it was supposed to be a showdown,
well,
and they just
it,
annihilated them.
it's going to be interesting because next Thursday we do have the Broncos.
Yep.
I'll talk about them in a sec, but oh, it's just good. The dogs are on top. It's beautiful. But I'll go to the game that happened the night before, Manly versus St. George.
Yep.
St. George pulling a rabbit out the hat and winning by 2 points was actually good. To be honest, I didn't tip them
Lost
because
the tips.
I've been back in Manly thinking they'd be good. And since Cherry Evans has actually announced his retirement slash leaving the club, they've
Departure.
they're now lost three straight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
they won, so we announced it, and they won that game that week. But after that, they've just gone down south. I'm not saying one player's dragging it down, but
Well,
yeah, it's
he's
not.
still their captain, isn't he?
Still the captain,
So
still.
if your captain's announcing that he's just going to leave, almost don't think the team's good enough, then that's just going to have an effect on the rest of the group. And I did think that they started the year not too bad, and then yeah, I noticed that as soon as he announced that, it was pretty much all downhill from there. Um, Dolphins whacked the shit out of the Storm. That
That
surprised me.
that definitely surprised me. So I was watching that with Ruby's grandmother, my partner's grandmother, and I said this is just going to be embarrassing. Like the build up was around Khalees Kafusi playing his old club, but I was like, this is going to be
A nightmare.
boring shit. And then they kicked the first, I got penalty kicked, so it was 2-0. And then Storm went on, I think, to get up 16-2. And I was like,
Here we go.
boring. And there was this one play that changed everything. Munster forced a penalty, I think against Kickow, maybe, whatever his name is. But forced a penalty, and from that penalty, they scored after that. And then even the commentators are saying from that penalty, that's where the momentum from Dolphins came. And at halftime, it was 16-12 or something. And then I still thought Storm, they got this, but the momentum that Dolphins had after halftime was ridiculous. I think there was like a stat.
Well, I'm just having a look here. 45, 51, 59, 63, 71. So the longest break they had in between tries was two 8-minute blocks.
Yeah,
And even after that, there was only one more try from the Storm in the 78th minute. So from going, you were right. It was, it was 16-2. And then after that, it was 40 straight points for the Dolphins before the Storm decided to pull their socks in.
well, the Storm was slicing them up. That's what was crazy. And then the Dolphins just broke them apart. I don't know if it was mentally or what, but the Storm don't usually lose by that much. Because yes, I'm a Bulldog supporter, but I still think Storm. Before the season started, if you said if it's not your team, who's winning? I'd say Storm.
Yep.
Because if you look back in history, if Storm lose a flag, the next year they come back bigger, better,
Mm.
and they win it. But the Dolphins have now won three straight. They're nowhere near the eight just yet. They sit at 10th, but they've won three straight after losing their first four. So
Yeah.
they've just gone from, oh, the Dolphins, here we go, to, all right, now the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly. Which I've noticed that a bit with this league lately. Like, yeah, there's so many bigger momentum swings. Like the Panthers at the moment, 2-5. I don't see them sort of staying that down for that
They'll
long.
come up, but last night against the Roosters, if you watched the first 5 minutes and the Roosters scored, you would have been like, Panthers are done. Like,
Yep.
And then you kept watching it, and they just went bang, 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 bang. It looked like the old Panthers for once. It was actually good.
Saw the KO mini. They look like they got back to their old ways a bit towards, and then see the thing with the Panthers is they can get you Panthers and Storm. They're typically going to get you more mentally than any other side. They'll just wear you down,
Oh,
and once they
definitely.
start like how the Dolphins made that in-game adjustment to just flick the switch when you're thinking, right, we're versing the Storm. It's 16-2, but they didn't. They didn't throw in the towel. They didn't do anything. So pretty impressive win there. Um, Around the other, like another sort of good clash considering the ladder as well was Warriors Broncos. That actually lived up to the hype as well.
I
Did you
blame
catch
that.
any of that?
I watched the whole last half. Watching it, obviously, I think with 20 to go, it was 18 to 6, and I was
Yep.
about to message the rallies that go for Brisbane saying your ponies are shit, but they come back pretty hard. That Jesse Arthurs is an actual freak. He's actually, this is his best year, I reckon, so far for the Broncos.
Now I know obviously you've got Origin. Do you guys at the end of the year have like a all NRL team or anything like that, or
Oh,
is it
they
really
do.
just the celebrate through Origin?
Nah, so they got team of the year. So
Oh,
the
yep,
Dally M, they'll pick the best center, the best winger, and all that. And then at the end, you pretty much they all get a photo together with all their medals, and that's the team of the year, pretty much.
yep,
That's
yep. That
how
makes
they
sense.
do it. I
Is
don't
Jesse
see
Arthur's on his way?
I don't see him playing Origin just yet because he's got to beat big names. That's usually
Yep.
how you got to do it, unless he blast off. One player that won't be playing Origin, in my opinion, is the man that lost him the game, Reese Walsh.
Don't tell, mate. Don't tell all the people on TikTok that Reese Walsh
Uh,
lost them the game.
because obviously overtime or extra time, 18 all. Brisbane lose the toss. Kickoff happens. Reese Walsh, for some reason, in my opinion, just wanted to get deep. Which, yeah, you want to do, but this lad went deep to the point where he kicked it over the try line or the dead ball line, and they marked it, which gave the Warriors a penalty from the halfway line, and they just said, no, we'll go for two, and they kicked it.
I'm
uh,
actually looking at the box score here. It makes sense. So Reese Walsh actually got them tied at 73 minutes, and
well,
then
that
a penalty goal was scored in the 81st. So it literally went, literally
just
went for a minute, and that
that
includes the setup for the kick.
that try he scored was the Warriors' bad. So the ball was kicked, and the winger went to punch it out, but he just tipped the arse end of it, so the ball bounced backwards,
Yep.
and pretty much Reece Walsh just walked over it and placed his hands on it. But on Reece Walsh, I used to say this with Ponga. I'm a proud Queenslander. I used to hate Ponga, but he's changed my ways from the way he plays in Origin.
Yep.
Rolls can't defend. He
He's just
cannot.
lost it.
He not lost it. I don't think he ever had it. He's an offensive player without defense, and if you're the fullback, you need to be defensive. You need to be calling your forwards in the spots like Slater used to. Obviously, everyone's not going to be Slater, but he used to sit back of the pack and just yell at his forwards and players to get in the holes that are open. Because he does try to do what Slater used to do, where say the winger's going to do it, tries to muscle him out, but he's just useless, man. He's always, if the ball's there, he just tries the slide tackle soccer style and just doesn't work, in my opinion. He's every time, let's say the ball's going out to the wing, he'll be running across, and they'll do an easy step, and he always just slips and throws his hands out. It's like,
Yeah. So it just makes it look like he's trying, but it's just all a bit of a charade
yeah,
to
he
sort
just.
of hide his actual lack of defensive ability.
I'm not saying he's not tough. I reckon he is, but he just can't defend to save his life. I'm glad I don't support this mob because I'd be pulling my hair out if I did.
Well, I'm a Sharkies man, and we've had a bit of a weird start to the year. If when you talk about, you were saying that you'd obviously pick the Storm to win if your Bulldogs weren't doing well. I was the same, but I'd still think that the top four threats would include the Sharks, Bulldogs, Storm, and from the outside looking in, the Raiders have started well, but Yeah, we've had a weird start to our year.
A lot of people have tipped your boys to be up in that top four. Even Matty Johns has
Now we
said,
have had a pretty like rough draw to start off. Like I know we just lost to the Raiders. You guys got away from us late. That was a good game until probably about 20 25 minutes to go before you guys ran away. Um, so yeah, maybe we've just had a tough draw and we come good. I mean, we're playing the Knights who have only won one less game than us, and we're giving
I
it to them
think
at
you
the
should be
moment.
right
So
against them. Your next five, you got West Tigers, which will be close, I reckon.
yep,
And then you got Para, Manly, Storm, and Roosters.
yeah.
So,
So you'd have to hope that we can then go on a run. Like if we can keep this one 4-3, get the tough one against the Tigers 5-3, and then go on a run. All of a sudden we're 9-3 and we look pretty good. So
mm,
you can get a good idea, I think, based off the point differential in the NRL.
it's still early in the year.
Yeah, like
When my team was winning, they'll go, "Oh, your team's good," but you can't really judge the year until like round 10, pretty much.
yeah. The only thing you guys can hang your hat on is like, yeah, you're 6-0, so of course you haven't lost to bring your point differential down, but you're plus 100, and the next closest is the Storm on 70. So you're
Yeah,
30 points clear of a team that's only lost two games.
and
So,
yeah, Broncos would be our biggest test of the year, I reckon.
I mean, defensively, the Broncos are always pretty strong. So, but you guys have only conceded 58 points. So if you want
Yeah.
to talk about a strong defense, then yeah,
And one
can't
thing
get
that
past your
bothers me,
doggies.
people keep saying, "Oh, we got an easy draw," but it's the NRL.
You can only play who's in front of you.
It's the best of the best. But
Exactly.
after that, we got Titans, which I think we should win.
Yep.
But if we win those next two, we're 8-0. Our biggest test would be Canberra
Yep. Yep.
because
And
Canberra
Canberra's
just beat the Titans by 10.
yeah. So Canberra's got a decent little run as well. So that should be a bit of a
Old
showdown.
Sticky Ricky's got his boys in gear.
So
They
if
should.
you had to have an early flag favourite, now I know you're a Bulldogs man. Would you stick by them sort of subjectively, or are you going to just do the objectively? My boys, I'm picking them for the flag.
Well, the reason why I am picking my boys is I, if you're going 6-0, you're putting a statement. Yes, we're going to have to lose, but this has been a progress in the past almost 5 years of us rebuilding to get back to that 2014, 2012 side that made those grand finals.
And you guys were a big defensive juggernaut back then, which is what it looks like you guys are sort of striving towards again.
We should have won on the weekend, I think, by 40 plus. It was just a few little errors by, oh, Burton. He made,
Not to name any names.
oh, he's a gun. Like, if this ever blew up and people question me, I was saying, no, I'm useless at rugby league. But he just made simple 1% mistakes where you just go, oh, he's fucked up. Like,
Yep.
nothing in the balance. But if we can fix those little tiny touch ups up, I reckon we can be just as bad. But if I could pick a team that wasn't mine, I'd probably still pick the Storm
Yep.
because every other team doesn't have that, in my opinion, experience to that next level.
Yeah, I think that's it as well. Like the Storm have sort of been there and done that for ages. I mean, if the Panthers can get on a bit of a roll, you never know. They're two and
Yeah,
five, but they only have a -10, so it's not like they're getting smacked. Um, and when they're winning well. So I still expect them to make a run. But yeah, I think based on what I've seen so far, and I mean, I don't watch too much rugby, but yeah, your Bulldogs do look pretty good at this stage. So if
the
they can get past
Panthers.
the Raiders pretty soon, they'll look pretty good for the rest of the year.
I think it's pretty obvious. As much as people bagged Luai, I think he's a reason why they're not as good as they were. Because Cleary is an absolute legend, but he was that one that opened it up, I think, more. Because the way I see it, Cleary creates the space in the pass just by that old reading and writing. Luai does the same, but he's got that like hop step that's
Yeah,
gonna.
and
He,
power.
he's not waiting for it. He's creating it more with his movement than Cleary, I think, sees it. So I think that's a big difference. And
Well, we
having,
just talk about like they're the guys that you need to win flags. Like, yeah, you got to have your star players, but your Luais and that are your solid tier two players. The more of them you have, your team's going to be better overall. So someone like that goes and leaves, they're
Well,
hard to
they've been
replace.
losing players every year since they
Mm,
won the flags.
yeah,
Imagine if the
exactly.
team that won the first one never split up. They'd probably go 10 in a row.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Barring any sort of injury.
Yeah.
Um, AFL. Now, how have you seen it so far? I mean, we're sort of a few rounds in, same as the NRL.
Well, we'll start on
Um,
Thursday, a dark day in my life. Uh, Brisbane lost by 52 points
so
to
you're a
Collingwood.
Brisbane man. So for those that know you, would obviously know that from your Instagram stories over the past year.
Yes, very heavy. I have been sharing things for years when we were shit.
True.
Um, we just, first quarter, yeah, we're only down by what, 10 points or something. It wasn't a bad start, but
Well, like what's funny about that too? Sorry to cut you off, but Brisbane actually have been a shit first half side so far this year.
yeah, we got the nickname the Comeback Kings like Collingwood did a couple of years ago. That's
Yeah.
pretty much, honestly, like even my own local footy clubs, for some reason, we're like Brisbane can't start footy games. But it's the worst way to start a game. You'd know, giving a team a full 5 goal lead, and then you got to chase it. Then I think as much as Collingwood's, well, I just hate them as much as I hate Collingwood. If you give a team like that 4 or 5 goals ahead, they're not going to be like any other AFL team where they're up by 4 or 5 goals, they come back in the last and somehow beat them. I think now Collingwood's at a stage where if they're up 4 or 5 goals, they've pretty much almost won the game.
Well, the funny thing with Collingwood is because they've been there, done that, where they did the opposite. I feel like they're the best sort of side to defend that.
Yeah,
It's going to be hard to game plan. Like, yeah, you go down 4 or 5 against them. It's going to be hard to sort of find a way to get a momentum swing back in your favour. Um, yeah, they just put the foot down after half time and they ended up beating the shit out of them, which was weird in Brisbane as well, which never really happens
well, they
usually.
should have tagged Dacos or something. They should have put someone on him, but they didn't, and he ended up with 38.
Yeah, well, they tried Jared Berry, but by then it's too late. Like,
No, it
y
should have been the beginning of the game. He needs to be marked. You don't let someone like him. He's a freak. He's a generational freak that I don't think
yeah,
I've ever seen a player like him
nah,
ever.
his speed and like his burst out of stoppage is unbelievable. Everyone sort of mocks him for getting uncontested possessions, but
But he's getting the
you need
footy.
those in your teams. Like,
But the thing is, it might be uncontested, but he's kicking the ball straight to his target. His
yeah,
efficiency is unreal there.
yeah.
It's not his job to get the footy. It's his
Well,
other
and
players.
last year everyone bashed him. Like, he obviously still did pretty well in the Brownlow, but everyone bashes him because his efficiency dropped last year. But he picked up his contested work last year.
Yeah.
So it's like the poor bloke can't have it both ways. He goes contested and everyone mocks him for missing kicks, and then he goes uncontested again. And he's lasering everyone, and everyone mocks him for being soft and being on the outside. It's a bit weird.
No, no, I think the people that piss and moan about people getting stats like that are those typical people that, yes, they play the game, but at a level that's not
Yeah,
fantastic.
exactly, exactly. And they're the ones that just belt blokes every weekend because
If you're
they're not slick.
at the end of the day, he's, what is he, 20?
Oh, he's 21 max,
20,
21,
21,
22.
getting 30 plus touches every AFL game. That's, I don't care if it's contested. I'm pretty sure a game I get probably 5 possessions and I come off feeling like I'm on top of the world. And he's getting 38 against the reigning premiers.
Eh, just a freak.
He got his
Just a
three
freak.
points.
There have
He,
been some other sort of shocks in the league as well. Like, I didn't actually expect Carlton to be as bad as what they've shown so far. I haven't
well, I,
expected Gold Coast to be as good as they are.
yeah,
So, I mean, this is just going to, I don't know who's going to fit in the eight. I thought Fremantle was getting their mojo, and then all of a sudden they lose to Melbourne.
it's
Then
been a
Richmond
wild,
beat Gold
wild,
Coast.
bloody round.
I
Bringing
don't
up
know how to tip it this way yet.
your poor Bombers.
My, well, we
They
say
won,
poor.
but
We've
at
won
what?
three in a row.
The only reason why I said poor was I was saying Semi Draper.
Yeah,
That
yeah. Now,
actually that shattered me. I love him. The
well,
way
you You knew him. You know him. I know him personally, but
Well, I knew of like we knew each other because we went to
few mutuals and all that sort of
high school
stuff.
together. It was just like typical high school stuff. Wasn't like we were best mates or anything. And that was
Yeah.
nothing. I'm not going to be that dude. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, we
he,
just
I'll give him his credit. He was starting to play some really good footy for us. He actually, um, around the ground, dominated against Melbourne, I thought, last week and was outstanding. And he was playing very well against West Coast as well. A little bit concerning. He was complaining of calf tightness at 3/4 time. Said that he was between the doctors and him, then we're like, yeah, no, we're okay, and goes back out and then ends up doing his Achilles. So I don't know,
I
maybe.
think everyone knew as soon as when any player's
Oh, you got
running,
shot,
yeah, pretty much they're running, and it's always a look back, and then yeah, I
and
hope,
he came off the ground apparently and said he felt like he got kicked, which is the biggest sign of
yeah,
you've just
that's the big.
ruptured your Achilles.
The one
Um,
thing I didn't like about that is I know everyone wants cameras in the room. Obviously, he was having a moment. I
yeah,
don't
the poor
like that.
man.
He's
Yeah,
obviously in tears because he's pretty much been told you're having a year and a half off, buddy.
and the thing that's gut wrenching for him as well is contract year. He starts
Yeah,
playing really good footy. He's going to get a big offer, and then you do your Achilles. Now you're a 26-year-old ruckman that's done your ACL and your Achilles.
well, that's another thing. His career could have started earlier after he
Yeah,
got drafted, and then his Achilles went.
ACL
He,
went that time.
yeah, oh, his ACL. Sorry, but yeah, he's an absolute freak of a player. Like he's honestly, with we actually the crazy fact is we played him in his first ever AFL game.
That is true. That is a good story. When you get talk about off on a tangent, that should be our sideline story. Maybe we save that for the end.
Yeah, we'll save that one. We'll get back into that.
We'll get back into that. But yeah, looking around the league, the only thing that I'm happy with Essendon about winning that game is we obviously saw what Melbourne did to Freo. They got the chocolates there, which was a major upset. Richmond, who weren't supposed to win a game all year, have now beaten Gold Coast and Carlton.
Yeah,
Um, Hawthorn was supposed to beat Port last week, and Port absolutely annihilated them.
back
Um,
to the Hawks quickly. They
yep,
obviously they got manhandled by Port. The stories that have come out of that, God, how
bit much.
they've been exposed. That
They need to
it's
go back to the drawing board and start again. It's like they're
if I was
fucking
an
4 and
AFL
1.
player, if there's two players I'd hate, it's David King and Kane Corns. God,
What's so funny about their
don't get
show?
me started on those two retards.
So you know what's funny? 80% of their show I love, and I think they actually speak some truth.
And I
The
think it's
20%,
the clips that I see is that
oh man,
20%. I just go, ugh.
I reckon that's the only reason they do it. The 20% draws you in to want to listen to their show thinking it's going to be constant dribble, and it's actually pretty good. But the 20% is so stupid. When I saw that Hawthorn need to go back to the drawing board and they've been exposed, I was like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah,
and they're sitting there earlier in the week going, "Nut, Gold Coast could win it all." What are they going to say now? They just got fucking pants by Richmond.
they did. They had that slow comeback at the end, but Richmond kept
They come back.
that 15, 20 point gap that whole game. I was at the pub watching it at it's called the Railway Hotel, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure, or the
typical.
Rail. Uh, it just, I was hoping like they were getting their set shots, Gold Coast. They were missing, but it was just it was like Richmond, not of old, but they just had momentum and they weren't going to stop. Pretty much, yeah, pretty much that. Like, they just ripped them up in the
It was
middle.
a pretty mature win considering like how obviously how young they are. But yeah, like you said, it was 15, 20 points and they just Gold Coast couldn't arrest the momentum. It was a pretty
If there's
strong
one
performance
person at
actually.
Gold Coast, I reckon needs to be, oh, I forget his name. His name's, I think, Jed something.
Jed Walter.
Walter, that's the man. He's 19, 6 foot. He looks like a surfer, but he's the man, I reckon.
Yeah.
You got King. I'm not saying the man of Gold Coast, but that forward line that makes them dangerous having King You got Walter, and you got probably one of the best midfields I reckon at the moment that are
Ethan
killing it.
Reed's coming along as well in that forward line for Gold Coast. They've got three really big tools, and then yeah, if they can stay on the same side,
I don't I don't
same
reckon this
timeline.
game should rattle Gold Coast at all.
No.
I think it's just you have to lose eventually. You got
Well,
exposed.
Dimmer sucked at Etihad. Oh well, what do they call it now? Marvel with
Oh yeah,
Richmond, even when they were winning flags. He
yeah.
goes there with Gold Coast, and they suck again. So read into that what you will, but yeah,
What
I don't
about
know.
the Croms? 18 points against the Giants.
Yeah, they were pretty solid. I mean, it was scrappy. It was pissing down sideways here. I don't know if you could tell on
Was it
the
raining?
TV. But that second and third quarter, the second quarter, I reckon there was a bit of drizzle. Third quarter, it was raining sideways. So um, you didn't get to see really any of the tools influence the match like they have been on both sides. I mean, I was sort of explaining in a group chat, Jesse Hogan's such a big out now for GWS. As soon as he goes out, it's a knock on effect of everyone else. Like,
I
Riccardi was useless, Stringer was useless besides a late goal. Um, Cadman's young, so when he has to now swallow the best defender, it makes it harder for him, but he shows
yeah.
plenty of promise, Cadman.
Well, they're
Um,
lucky it was only 18 points because Thilthorpe was one goals three and Rankin was one goals two.
yeah, Rankin, look, as good as he is, and I mean, he was getting tagged and he still had 20. A little bit selfish in front of goal, old Isaac Rankin. There maybe should have been a
Mm.
handball given to young Sid, and then another sort of wayward snap as well that maybe should have been passed
Yeah,
off.
my
But
man Sid
he's a gun.
had a bit of a quiet game, only his 6 touches.
Was strange to sub him off. Now the only reason I say it's strange to sub him off, you've got the big fellas down forward that took massive hits, like oh brain fart at the moment. Um, Shoulder. Had the shoulder. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Anyway, they had a few big guys that had injuries throughout the game. It's raining. It's not a big man day. And they take Sid off for an inside mid.
he's probably one of their smallest players.
Yeah,
You'd
so
want to
my
keep him.
thought, take a big out, get Sid forward, get Barry still into the middle, and then you've got your runners now on the ground. I just thought it was a bit of a strange ploy, but I mean, they still won at the end of the day, so
That's
I'm no
it.
coach, mate. Um,
Well, the Crows are now fifth, which is
Crows now fifth. They had that couple of weeks of slip up, but I mean, in saying that, losing to Geelong and Gold Coast doesn't look like a bad loss at this moment, so they'll be
no.
fine. Um, Now we'll do the same thing we did with the NRL with the top four threats. It is so jam packed. This is going to be almost impossible to pick. Do you have your ideas of who you would like in your top four at the end of the year? Who are giving you the early signs?
Well, obviously the early signs be Collingwood and Brisbane,
Yep.
and
Yeah, I think you can book that almost.
I still reckon Hawks are going to be there. And I was always thinking Giants or Adelaide, but I think Geelong will make their way up once again
Yep. Yep.
because
Well,
it's
so put them in order. So you got Collingwood to finish top, Brisbane to finish
I
second. You
go
reckon that'll stay?
yeah, pretty much Collingwood, Brisbane, Hawks, and Geelong.
Yep.
I reckon that's uh, Gold Coast will be in the finals. They
Yep.
be that 5-6. I reckon. I
Yep.
hope they prove me wrong. Even Adelaide, I thought would be up there, but I think they also will be next to Gold Coast, and they will probably clash in that first round of elimination.
My problem is I probably haven't looked at the fixture enough to see who gets like your North Melbournes and West Coast and that twice. That'll be an interesting factor. But my top four at the start of the year, I sort of tipped Fremantle to be there, and I mean, if they beat Melbourne yesterday, they're 4-2 with a pretty healthy percentage, and
Yeah,
now they slip up and they're 3-3. So
they're
it'll be
still eighth
interesting to see
at
how
the
they
moment.
rally.
Yeah,
They're still eighth. Um, so at the start of the year, I thought Fremantle, Brisbane, Collingwood. My other team that I think will end up being in the top four is still GWS. I think
there.
The Giants have got a lot of class, and when they play at full strength, they're pretty hard to beat. So I still think that they'll be right up there.
No.
What do you reckon? Though you reckon my Bombers make the eight?
If Draper didn't do his leg, I would
Well, we
have
get
been
the
like,
old Gold back. We get Goldstein back in the side.
yeah, well, he's experienced. I've got nothing against Goldstein, but if he can go back in time, definitely. I
Yeah, 36 years old. It'll be interesting to see how he
he
goes.
he's got the experience 100%. It's
Yeah.
just does he have the legs to run out quarters? That's all.
Yeah, well, the thing that's going to be interesting, he hasn't been playing VFL. So you would think that if he was playing VFL and getting reps, then maybe he'll be ready to go. But in saying that, his body should be relatively fresh from not taking any impact. So we'll see
But
how the
with
Bombers
Draper
go.
out, it's any young fella's spot now. If they want
We've
to
got,
take it, go for it.
we've got I'll probably absolutely butcher this, but I think it's Vicentino maybe in our VFL side, who's our
Yeah,
young ruckman. Um, he played alright in the VFL as well. He had 26 hit outs. Vicentini, I reckon it is. Um, if Goldstein's sore or breaks down, then he's going to have to. He's probably going to get some games through the year, so it would
yeah.
be up to him to try and step up with Paul Bryan and Draper out. Um, so that's the sport wrap up. Maybe we should go back to that Sam Draper story.
I think we should.
The sideline scoop, which we were saying was our sort of
Well,
random
the funny
story.
thing is, there's a photo of him kicking the footy, and my old boys in there in the background. The only thing that makes it funny is they posted that photo in the sheds on his debut. So my old man was stoked, saying he's been in an AFL locker room on
Yeah,
game day. So
yeah.
congrats.
The old man in the background cheering us on. It was a trial game. We were both playing at McLaren Vale, and we were versing Brunella.
That
Because
was my first game against my old club.
that's right, that's right. Which you shouldn't have ever really had to play if you think about it, because we were in two separate leagues. Um, but yeah, we're playing under 17 and a halves at that stage, and we're all sort of, I think we're about 15 at that stage, 15, 16, and out comes this 6'4" Goliath in Sam
He
Draper playing his
he
first
grew
game.
pretty quick.
He
From
was
high
massive.
school, he was obviously tall. Well, anyone was taller than me. But there was a stage where he just went, zoop.
He just shut up. Like, everyone talks about how he was a soccer goalkeeper, but me, like, I reckon he grew way too quick to end up being an elite goalkeeper. I think he picked the right sport.
Well, 2016 he starts and what he gets drafted in what, 18, 19?
So what was funny about that is plays in that game. I don't know what the score would have been. It was a trial game, but he kicked
Yeah.
eight.
Yeah, I don't
First
know.
ever game of footy. Tuesday, I head out to South Adelaide training, which sample under 18s. And we're in a team meeting, and they open the door, and Sam Draper walks in, and he just looks at me and goes, "Oh, I know you from the week." And he goes, "Our coach, even though it was a trial game, was yelling at us for not being able to stop you, Syed, and then me." And so he came and sat next to me, and we got to know each other that way because he came out to South Adelaide. He obviously pretty much just dominated that year, and then got drafted straight away. He was just ready to go.
If you're talking about natural, I reckon he's probably the natural because his first game he carved us up. Never played in his life.
Yeah, couldn't do
Absolutely.
anything.
It was like this. Doesn't matter.
Well,
We've been playing since we were tiny. He was just good. And
yeah,
people would say,
yeah,
"Oh, he's tall. That's why." Nah, the lad's got hands. You've seen in the goal of the year. He's obviously improved since when we played him. But
yeah. But he was never awkward with the way, like you see those
no,
big gangly dudes that are just sort of they look awkward when they run. He can run.
he's
Like
like a
yeah,
NBA power forward, pretty much
yeah.
small forward. They're not like Sandilands. What was he like? Oh, he was 7 foot, wasn't he? Or six?
He was 7 foot. That's when you talk about big and dopey.
That's
Those
a bit
guys.
too. I'm talking about just a big ruckman. Let's just go. I don't know. Who's a big ruckman?
Let's say Dean Cox,
Dean Cox. Clumsy.
clumsy,
If he bends
could run,
over,
clumsy.
just clumsy. Like the ball's by his feet. Oh, fall over.
Spider Everett. There's
It
one.
It's almost like they're on stilts.
Riley O'Brien, there's another clumsy one.
It's like when a ruckman always kicks the footy and it's absolute fucking shit. It's just
You
ruckman's
get
left foot.
nervous, yeah. Like I made a mini career in my junior footy, just standing next to the ruckman when he got a free kick, just get the little handball off him because you just get nervous when they try and attempt to kick the footy. I still do it now.
Oh,
So
I've actually been in one ruck contest my whole career. Ruckman was running too far from the wing. I was a winger. I was like, oh, this is my moment. Throws it up, knee
straight into the neck took him out.
buckled me. It was against Lonsdale Lions.
Oh.
I got buckled, and that was the first and last time I ever went in for the ruck.
So Syed Hansen, 0 hit out career. I've jumped in the ruck a few times and got a few little taps. Telling you right now, if I was 6'6", I wouldn't be sitting in this chair. I'd be out there right now, just weaving a bit of these all day, every day.
But
Uh,
yes,
we have already gone for an hour, so I don't
holy
even know if
smokes.
we need to talk about anything else. Do
Yeah,
you
I
want to
reckon
talk
that.
about anything else? Or we just call it an hour and we'll then kick off with hot topics later in the week?
No, I'm pretty revved up with this hot topic because it's been pissing me off since I've seen it.
All right, talk about it.
I'll
What's our
cut
hot
it
topic?
short, cut it short and sharp.
No, rant. Let it out. It's our first episode. If it goes a little longer, who cares?
All right, firstly, I'll say I love women. They're the best thing on this world, and I've
Multiple
got no,
women?
no, the one I'm with. But I got nothing against them. But this whole thing of those 5 women that went to space is grinding my gears. There's one girl on there that's actually like a trained astronaut or
Astronaut.
something. She's actually done the hard yards, but she got put in there with a bunch of absolute pelicans. I think there's like 2 talk show hosts, Katy Perry's his singer, and Bezos' wife. If you've seen the video, they're like obviously floating around and they're like yelling, screaming like girls on a spring break. It's absolutely just
Do you know what was the
shit.
strangest thing about that? Now, they did look out in the view. They were more obsessed with the camera than actually
Yeah.
looking out and around the ship in space.
They're holding up like flowers and little toys. They're like, "Oh, you're up in space." It's like absolute,
Awesome, yeah, who cares?
and then they're landing, and then they're saying we're astronauts. I think
And
that's it.
they were came back kissing the ground when they were in space for 15, 20 minutes.
It was actually 11.
Yeah. So
So
the poor astronauts that went up to space and were stuck there for 9 months, or Katy Perry, like, and then she puts on Twitter or X, like, home
she
with a love
was
heart.
apparently she was singing "What a Wonderful World" up there. It's all that's like the most is awkward. Like if you're at like a kick-ons piss up and then someone pulls out a guitar. It's almost that level.
All
But it's
right,
like
it's
they're
time to
calling
go now.
themselves astronauts because they've gone to space. But that's pretty much like saying
Well,
I've
I'm a
cooked,
pilot because I've gone on a plane overseas.
yeah, or you've
Like,
cooked a meal, so you're like a Michelin chef.
yeah, yeah. Just because your grandma said that it tasted good doesn't
It's
mean you're a
actually,
Michelin chef.
and then when they come down, they're just talking about love. It's like I don't reckon.
My ex has then now been full of conspiracy theories about did they actually go to space
Oh, I have
and
seen
was it
that.
real and was it green screened? And I'm thinking, geez, this is the moon landing all over again.
I reckon it's my moon landing because I don't reckon it's real. I can't see it being real because I'm not much of a spaceman, but I'm not talking about how the door flinged open and Bezos comes up with just like a wrench and it pops open. If you're going to space, there's a lot of pressure. You need like proper. I'm pretty sure they got it. If you watch any other spaceship, they got to drill the door off. That's how you get out.
That's what I thought as
And he
well.
just walked up with this thing. You couldn't even see his arms really like moving, and it just goes opens
Yeah,
up.
pops open. The other thing as well, now, it might have just been where they were in space, so maybe they didn't leave the atmosphere properly.
Yeah,
I haven't looked into it too much. When you see every other ship that's re-entered, obviously they go through a lot of heat re-entering the atmosphere, and you can see the shell has been burnt. That thing was clean as. That thing was cleaner than the way it left.
and then
So
Jeff
it was like,
Bezos touches it with his bare hands.
yeah. So I'm like, is it really? But I don't know. That could just be because they don't actually go completely out of the atmosphere to the point, but yeah,
It
I don't
does.
know. It just weirded me out, all of it.
And if you are going to the edge of space or the corner of it, you would think they would have to actually still wear protective friggin'
Proper
space gear,
gear. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not skin tight, Fantastic Four looking suits where they can see their ass and tits.
And then the irony of Fantastic Four's trailer and all that dropping as well around the same time. Like, is it
Yeah,
all just a gimmick?
it's and yeah, the best thing is everyone in the world realize they're just celebrities that are disconnected from what's really going on, where they come to Earth and they just, oh, love, I
I've
just
noticed a bit lately
okay,
that
God.
there's just been less of a fuck given about what any celebrity is doing in the world. I feel like
Nah.
people are, yeah, they're like, we're over it now. We don't care. We don't want this anymore. Not interested.
But yeah, apart from that, it cost obviously millions and millions to get up there. I think the goal is to get more people up there. I think that's the reason why a part of me thinks it's obviously yes, there's conspiracy parts to it. I just think if they sent up just normal women that had worked hard, like that I forget her name, that Asian lady. I think she was actually worked their ass to actually experience it, and the rest are
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. The actual original pilot that had to go up there with him.
yeah. I think she's. I think you take your hat off to her. I think the other ones are just they're rich enough to get on there.
Yeah, and I mean that's just marketing. At the end of the day, they're going to try and show them off a little bit to try and promote their new venture. I suppose is the right way to do it.
But another fact is just not a fact, just my mind. Bloody. So what they're doing, that's supposed to be like a tourism, like that's what they want to send normal people up to go experience,
Yep.
and then they're coming down saying we're astronauts. That's that makes everyone an astronaut if we're going up. No,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like all of a sudden, the how much it's going to cost you to study how to be an astronaut will rapidly go down if everyone all of a sudden is going to be
yeah,
deemed an astronaut.
but yeah, I've got nothing against the whole feminist movement, like them trying to be equal and all that. But the women they sent up are just they're
Yeah,
trying
it
to
wasn't a hit. It didn't hit the way I
they're
think
trying to
they
put
tried to make
themselves
it
in the
hit.
category of certain astronauts have actually studied, went to the training. Because apparently the training they went through, because they mentioned the training, I saw that the training they actually had to do was getting into the pod. That's all they had to do is practice getting into it. And another thing they had to practice was putting on their seatbelts.
So
I'm
was
not,
there no G force
no, no,
training? No G training?
no. They practiced getting in and out of the pod and putting on their seatbelts and taking them off. And that's a proper fact. So that's why I'm
That's
just like,
ridiculous. That is ridiculous. What the? We'll wrap it up there because we've gone an hour and 8 minutes, which is pretty good, I think, for the first episode.
definitely.
What we will do before we really finish, tips for next week. We'll go AFL certainty, Ruffy, NRL certainty, Ruffy, and then NBA. Um, what are your predictions for round one of the playoffs? All right. So
Yeah.
have you got the AFL fixture in front of you? If not,
Yeah, I got the AFL in front of me.
yep. So I'm going to give my certainty that everyone can book it next week. My certainty, and you can't just pick the easiest one. They can't just be like Port Adelaide
Yeah,
versus North Melbourne because
it'll
they're at
make
home.
it a bit tough.
Certainty, Frio against the Crows in Perth next week, Friday night.
Ooh.
That's my certainty. My roughie, I don't even know if it's a roughie at the moment. I reckon Richmond go back to back. They beat Melbourne next week. That's still a roughie.
Yeah. My
What's your certainty?
certainty would be Hawks at Marvel against West Coast.
Yep. Okay.
And I reckon the tough one, or the roughie, would have to be Giants and Dogs.
You reckon the Dogs are the roughie?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. All right. Book that in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll come back next week and see how they both went. NRL certainty. I reckon the Bulldogs get the job done over the Broncos, even though we're just talking about how close that'll be. I reckon the Bulldogs get that done. I think a roughie. Dolphins stay on this hot streak and they beat the Raiders.
That's a good one, actually.
I think they'll stay hot. They'll ride the momentum, and Raiders still might not give them the utmost respect they should. And I reckon the Dolphins take it.
I reckon my certainty Storm beat the Rabbits.
I
You
like
don't
that.
see Storm lose back to back too often.
Yep.
And Ruffy, I can see Newcastle beating the Warriors next week.
Don't mind that either.
They're getting thrashed at the moment. They're coming off losing streaks. Warriors are usually that team that, they're top four, boom,
Yep.
then they just drop.
I like
So-
it. All right, so we'll come back to those next week as well. How do you see the rest of the? Give us a quick. Now we saw a bit of the East and West today. Lakers, Minnesota. How do you think that ends up?
I'm going to get
Just
on
the
the
next game, actually. We'll just go next game instead of the whole series. Lakers W.
Lakers bounce back, make it
All
like
right.
it's 121 to 111, something
We've
like
even
that.
got a correct score bet. Put that on, ladies and gentlemen. Pacers, I reckon we can both tick that. They'll go 2-0 up.
Pacers, yeah.
It'll be closer, but I still reckon they go 2-0 up. Clippers and Nuggets. What do you reckon? I reckon Clippers hit back and they actually
The Clippers
win
bounce
this one.
back, level the game.
1-1
I
heading
reckon.
back to LA. Knicks, I reckon I said sit and steer. I reckon the Knicks win by 10
They'll-
points again, but it's going to be in a
they'll-
different
yeah.
fashion.
They'll win at home, but it'll be lower, 5 points or less.
Now, we've then also got the other side of the games as well. Where are we? So, Thunder Grizzlies, I reckon we can tick the Thunder.
Yeah, definitely.
Celtics Magic, reckon we can tick the Celtics.
Yeah.
Cavs Heat, I reckon we can tick the Cavs.
I personally think it's going to be one of those 1 seeds that lose to the 8 or the 10th,
Ooh,
I should say.
interesting. All right, you heard it here first. There's our roughie. Now, this will divide opinions. Rockets Warriors. I think the Rockets
I say
beat them
Rockets.
down this game one.
Everyone's saying Steph's 4-0, but they've got to remember who was on Steph's team,
Yep,
not
Yep.
backpack Draymond. He's not
exactly.
going to carry the team, and they've got great players. Golden State's good, but I just see the Rockets carving
I've
them
got the
up.
Rockets too. I think they'll defensively beat them down in game one. I think it'll be a little bit like the Minnesota, where the Warriors will sort of take the hit in the first game and then make adjustments and go from there.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's episode 1. Thank you very much. And then hopefully we can come back in sort of next week and give a playoff update. We might try and do Sunday night or Monday night every week so that we can give a recap
Yeah.
of AFL, NRL, our tips heading into the week and see where the NBA playoffs are at.
Well, we might have a podcast just with stories and yarns, and then we'll always have our weekly sports updates.
I like that. We'll always evolve and try and sort of make a... We'll
Once
find
we
our
get
niche
past
in the end.
2 episodes, we're serious.
Exactly.
Once we get to that 3rd one. But, I'm feeling good about this one.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
Easy.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Hooroo.
Stopping. No.